So the principle of legitimacy. It was important to Metternich and company that they get it right at the Congress of Vienna for the sake of peace and stability in Europe. And the solution they came up with was to put everything back the way it was before Napoleon broke it. Legitimacy meant restoring ruling families that have been deposed by French Revolution and Napoleon, or the Napoleon, as I said earlier. That was the conservative crowd coming out. Might they have considered that something had fundamentally changed? Well, if they had, they weren't prepared to accept it yet and act accordingly. So this guy, Louis XVIII, who was the younger brother of Louis XVI, came back as the legitimate Bourbon, which is the name of the dynasty, ruler of France. And he was very unpopular, which is part of the reason why Napoleon, who only really went somewhere here, I mean, that was all as far away as the exile went, had such an easy time coming back. So they restored the rulers of Spain, and in Spain, Napoleon had installed his brother Joseph. Naples, Holland, and Sardinia, Piedmont. Says the Prince de Lynch, there is literally a royal mob here. Everyone is crying out, peace, justice, balance of power, indemnity is for me. I am a looker on. All the indemnity I ask for is a new hat. So, leaders at the Congress seek to weaken France to the extent that it would prevent it from waging wars of aggression like Napoleon had just done and threatening the balance of power again. We see this repeat at the end of World War I. The Allies take a harsher tone with Germany than they do here. But, you know, history doesn't exactly repeat, but it rhymes, certainly. The Allies weren't aiming to really punish France to the point where they were humiliated and felt antagonized. That's a surefire way to start problems again, as we again see with the comparison I'm drawing between this and Germany at the end of World War I. So France had to return to its 1790 borders and pay an indemnity of over 700 million francs. So it went from that, quite a lot of territory, to what we kind of see today. They were allowed to keep their colonies, their army, an independent government. You can see the spread of French power and influence. We're up to 1754, 1822. Is it going to go any further? Yep, 1885. 1914. So we're never quite as big and bad as Britain, but France certainly was a power and a major player on the world stage for quite a long time. So the Austrian Netherlands, which is now Belgium, united with the Dutch Republic, they formed the Kingdom of the Netherlands. 39 of the German states loosely sort of united into a German confederation. Austria dominated that confederation. The Congress of Vienna recognized Switzerland as an independent and neutral nation, something they've held on to for dear life ever since. And Sardinia strengthened its position on the world stage by adding Piedmont and Savoy to its holdings. We're still a little ways away from Italian unification. So the territorial settlements were as follows. Yeah, I've spent the whole day cutting Europe into bits like a piece of cheese, says Metternich. Russia got more Polish territory. Sweden retained Norway. Prussia got most of Saxony and territory in the Rhineland along the French border. Austria acquired northern Italian provinces of Lombardy and Venetia as compensation for the loss of Belgium. Britain got Malta, which is over here, the Cape of Good Hope, Trinidad and Tobago, and we're really at the end here. So the Congress of Vienna evaluated. They accomplished enacting a settlement that was acceptable to both the victors and to France. And that's important because, as we know, from the parallels I'm drawing between defeated Germany after World War I and defeated France, it's important to have, as President Wilson would have said, a peace without victory, a peace on sort of equal terms to avoid further conflict. And this really lasted, the balance of power, until Germany unified itself in 1871. And the next major conflict we see in Europe would be World War I in 1914. We have relatively stable period on the continent for about a century. What they underestimated were the forces of liberalism and nationalism that the Enlightenment inspired and that the French Revolution unleashed. Those ideas weren't going away. And that's all she wrote on the Congress of Vienna. Thanks for hanging in there.